There she is, all loaded up. Got the rack down here, strapped on pretty nice. Nothing's gonna be going anywhere. I'm a little less sure about how well the backpack's gonna stay put, but I have bungees going through loops, as well as I'm going to strap this to that and just tie it on. Plenty of room for me still. Tons of gear in the front here. I've got a bunch of water in there as well, and I froze all the water, so that's going to be working sort of like a cooler. At least for a day, it'll keep things a little better. And then I did lose a shovel once before, so I'm going to have my foot on that when I'm driving, but I also just hooked that on here. There it is. About to put her in the water. Step one, check the Seadoo has not floated away on you. Everything seems to be staying in place. Definitely getting wet. The back pockets there. Still solid and on here, that's good. I like that I have these two actual straps instead of just trusting the bungees. Seems to work. I'm going to check the hull for water before I start heading upstream, and then I'm going to head upstream.
This is the greatest day ever! This is all boat! Seadoo's working great! I'm going gold mining! Yes! This thing flips, man! Alright.
Alright, let's see what we got in the bucket. Alright, so while I was doing that last pan, I had the tub under there. So there was definitely not overloaded. It had been running for about 3 or 4 minutes already. And then after that, running the way it is, I'm still finding that much gold in my tailings. So I'm thinking I'm running this too quickly because it is totally cleaned out. I'm gonna shut off the water We're gonna have a look at what's going on here, because I do not like. Well, plenty of gold right down at the very bottom of my box. And if I have a look up at the top of the box here, get this out of the way. So yeah, it's catching gold, but it's also losing a lot of gold. If this is looking a little too empty, I'm going to try running slightly slower water flow for the next bit. And I'll have to shovel a lot slower, obviously. But yeah, interesting. Not super impressed. I did the clean out. I'm going to start fresh next time with a little slower water flow and see what I'm getting in the tailings. That, focus, there we go. Even though I was getting a lot in the tailings, I would argue that I'm getting a lot more in the mat. Obviously my tailings would add up over time. I could actually, in the black sands, when the water was just stopped, I guess you can't see it right now, but there was gold in my tailings. Like there's a piece of gold right there. And so yeah, so maybe I'm getting 80% based on a rough guesstimate. I'm gonna keep trying with this dream mat situation. It may very well be I'm running too quickly for it, but that keeps me motivated. I'd say that's at least half a gram. Yeah. Slippery fingers. Okay, so this is just above idle. That's my water flow. I'm still at 1.5 inches per foot. And I just did a test. I obviously have to shovel a lot slower for this to work, but my losses have gone down. So I was definitely putting too much water to the mat. Before I thought I was putting too little to the mat. So I guess this mat for this ultra fine gold, this is more like how you'd run a cleanup, I would assume. And if you want to run more material, you just need a wider mat. So I may put a second level on here so it's 24 inches wide again. But I'm going to do a couple more tests at this water flow just to see how quick I can shovel into it, and I'm a lot more impressed with my recovery like this. This seems to be where it's running, just above idle. It seems to be cleaning out still. I just have to shovel a little slower. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to determine, because if I have more or less hose at any given time, the water flow will be different. I'm going to determine exactly how many gallons per hour or gallons per minute are going over the box. This is 18 liters. So we're going to time this. It's about 11 or 12 seconds by the looks of it. I'll calculate out exactly how many gallons per minute that is. And maybe see if any gold came out. Well, I'll just leave this here for a couple minutes and see if I'm losing any gold running it empty like this. This edge here just has a little bit of muddy looking sandy stuff on it, and it's just the very surface that actually has any gold. But try to leave the willows. So this stuff is just really, really hard to wash. I try to mix it around a little bit in the box. You gotta get your hands in there to really clean it up, get rid of all the roots. But even though it takes maybe 4 times as long to do each shovel compared to nice gravel, there's about 4 times as much gold for each shovel. Hopefully, this spot works out. Hello everyone, I call this catch and release sod farming. The bank is way over there. Down here, there's just this little bit of grass that seems to have some gold in it. So you simply toss it into your box, stir it around a little bit, try to clean it all up. Now you have some nice cleaned out grass. We simply pop her out here and we replant the sod. There you go. Catch and release sod farming, also known as gold mining. That one's from my buddy Jonathan. He's a landscaper. Gold looks good in every pan I test here, so it's just a matter of managing to get that surface through the box. It's hard digging, mucky digging, but I'm hoping the results will pay for themselves. Oh yeah, there it is. That is not very much gold in a pan. That not very much gold in the pan came from that, which came from a whole bunch of this, which came out of there. Bottom line is the magic numbers I'm using right now on this box are 1.25 inches per foot, as well as it takes 12 seconds to fill my 18-liter tub. So just a crack over idle, and that's actually catching the gold and doing a good job of not scouring out the mats when I'm not shoveling in. So I'm happy with that. Obviously the feed rate needs to be kept slow at this point. If I'm shoveling sand, it'll pack it right up. For what I'm dealing with right now, it's keeping up because I'm demonstrate here. This is basically what I'm working through. So I need to get in there with my hands and just clean up all of those roots. And what I'm left with, I'm sure there's still some gold in that, but then I basically just throw her back in the ground, stomp her into place. I'm kind of curious what I'll actually have in the box at the end of the day, but I'm glad that I have some settings to go off of. Now I can stop complaining about my mats. Well, we definitely have some gold in the box. Not a bad pocket right there. Another good pocket right there. All the way up to the very top of the mat here. Doesn't show much, but definitely gold to be had. And then But down here, bottom of the box, definitely still some gold visible, but looking better than yesterday. This is the entirely wild and naturally occurring Alberta sand turtle. Oh yeah, this is such a comfortable place to nap. Nice peaceful river flowing by. Well-deserved snack. I may actually just fall asleep here for 20 minutes. I woke up at 5:30 this morning by accident. I went back to bed for a couple hours, but even just that much digging, I'm exhausted. So a quick 20-minute nap and then back to digging. I have to get that clean out. This is my cooler at the moment. Toss that up. So while it's not insulated, this was a solid chunk of frozen ice, and it's still ice cold. And this little lemon tart sitting right next to the ice, making it nice and chilly. And oh, so delicious, even though it got beat up a little bit by the drive up here. That nice, cool, sweet dessert before I get back to digging, that's the best right there. It's time to clean up. Might have been time to clean up like an hour ago, but I'm doing it now. Loaded with black sands. Decent amount of visible gold. Don't know how I'm gonna do this with one hand, but I'm gonna do my best. Here we go. So this is the bottom of the box, obviously. Alright, let's try this. At the bottom of the mat, we'll pull up on that, slide that out, and then alright, we might just cut to this. Decent shot of some gold. Okay, I don't want to screw this up, so I'm going to turn the camera off here for a minute. Well, I'm exhausted. And well, I wouldn't call this water cold. It's definitely a little chilly, not warm. So it's certainly gonna feel good to go for a dip. Possibly do a little bit of laundry while I'm at it. I think I was starting to get a little bit heat stroke. I was just really thirsty, but couldn't drink enough, you know? Whew. Well, that'll be good. I'm on good gold, so I might as well keep digging, right? Cleared the water just in time. It's a nice jet boat, but it's no Seadoo. Welcome to the less glamorous side of Seadoo camping. There's my water. Got the water filter out. Had that filter for years. Only goes through about 2 liters of water before you gotta clean it off a little bit. Somehow I've managed to go through 7.5 liters of water today. I'm feeling rough. So I'm gonna, this is just taken from the river right here, and I'm gonna fill this one. I'm gonna do another hour of shoveling and maybe just test pan a little higher up the bar, see what I can find. I don't know if you can tell a difference, but much better stream coming up. Normally you would want to store this thing dry, especially when it goes below zero at night. You don't want it to crack and freeze in there, so I'm just going to pump out everything that I just sucked up. And then put it away in the bag. Every time a jet boat comes by this river, the waves they produce just bash the shore. So where my pump's intake is, it's just getting plugged up with sand. So every time a boat goes by, I know I'm gonna have to throttle down, shake it out, fire it back up again. I have been putting the tub underneath the sluice every time I was doing that to see if I was losing gold on startup and shut down and everything. But so long as I can keep just barely enough water flowing over that sluice and then shake out the intake underwater, it seems to be working for me. Definitely gonna get a bigger intake screen for the next time I'm out here. What a beauty. Sun is setting. Okay, well the sun's not actually setting, it's summer solstice, but I am absolutely exhausted. This thing has been running like a champion. We're sitting here with this rooty, muddy, just hard digging stuff. And out the other end, we end up with, hopefully, some gold. I guess with the sun the way it is, it's going to be tricky to actually see what's going on in there. I seem to have the mat dialed fairly well. Up here we've got the backbone of the operation, WX15 water pump. Here's my little intake screen, and that needs to be enlarged. Every time a jet boat goes by, it gets clogged up, and then I've got to shake it out, and it's just a hassle to work with. I've just been letting it run for a little while here, and since it's running, I put the tub here just to see what I'm losing. Pretty exhausted right now. I think I've drank 8 liters of water today. It'll be 9 by bedtime. It's not even that hot out. I've just been... Well, gold mining is hard work. I'm gonna go shut her down and just do a cleanup as I normally would. Hopefully give you an idea of what it looks like to take everything out of the mats, into the box, and then I'll throw it into a container later and deal with that part when I get home. So throttle down first, then turn off the water. Helps with the surging in the box. That basically just keeps any floating gold or air bubbles and pushes everything down into the mat. This platform, in case anyone's been wondering, this is designed so that when it's sitting on the back of my Seadoo, I have some place to strap the motor down to. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at the mat. Obviously, it looks good. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm gonna give you a turn to look at the mat and then hopefully set the camera back up right where it is. This I find very interesting. Okay, what we have here is, this is about where the Alaskan damper ends. So right at the end of the Alaskan damper, there's a little more black sand collecting. And then it seems to clean up a little bit more as you go towards the front of the box. I'm just gonna slowly kind of pan this over because I can't see what the camera sees. Plenty of good, juicy looking gold. Look at that one pocket right there. I will be visiting a bunch of other rivers later on in the year. I'm a little concerned about my Seadoo hitting rock skills, and so the North Saskatchewan River is a very large river. I've done some of this section before, and I want to make sure that I'm not going in really skinny, shallow water with it until I get a little more confident with it. And having a Seadoo, well, I do set a speed limit on the river because I don't want to smash into a gravel bar going 55 miles an hour. It really moves, so you can cover a lot of ground and get to some really interesting locations that normally you just couldn't get to. So one hand pulls this up, the other hand pulls the mat out. There we go. I'm kind of learning as we go here. When I say this is how I normally do a clean out. Well, this one might be different than the last one. I only built this sluice box about 3 weeks ago. Took it out one time to the Red Deer River where I found a 1/4 gram. So it's all new to me. And one thing I'm going to do right now is, as I'm putting the mat into this box, it's overflowing water. You will get floating gold sometimes. So while I can see that there's no floating gold, I'm going to carefully pour out some of this water in the tub. Still want enough to wash with, I just don't want any accidents. As I'm pulling this out, it's looking, oh, so good. Oh wow, there is a lot of gold in this mat right now. Now I don't want this, as it comes out, to flop forwards and knock all of the best gold right down onto the ground here. So two-hand operation. Oh, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. There's just gold everywhere. Oh, wow. I will give it the old slosh just because there's a lot of gold in here. Sunscreen on the hands is never good, so I do have a little bar of soap. Okay. Visual inspection. Actually a couple tiny little specks of gold in there, but that's fine. I did a test here before. So underneath that mat, there is a decent amount of, just looks like kind of muck. Stuff that kind of worked its way through the sides and underneath the mat. There's not a ton of it, but it is there. And in the past, as in yesterday, I did pan it out, and well, there's not a lot of gold in it. There's enough gold there. Yeah, like just that little bit there is probably 1,000 colors. So what's under the mat there, they're definitely worth gathering. Now this is a little tricky because you want it not to shoot out over the box. When there's no carpet in here, the water, when you pour it in the front, it just shoots out. So you'll see that happen, but I'm going to be nice and gentle with it at first. I don't know if I've ever worked this hard shoveling in one day. That being said, I am loving every minute of this. It's like, I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I love the freedom of being out here. And when it gets hard and I'm drinking that 9th liter of water, I keep just repeating in my head, hey, could be tripping pipe at -40 on a dingy oil rig somewhere in northern Alberta. That is a bad time of hard work. This is a good time of hard work. The next step. If you pour too quickly, I've done it where I had a safety pan right here, and just pouring the water out, you will get gold out when you're doing a clean out and it's really concentrated like this. So you do have to be very gentle with everything. I'm still just pouring the water out, but you have to be really careful at this stage. I can just see a line of gold sitting on the bottom of this. This may very well be the best run I've done. This was a long run too. Like I was on good gold, but I did not clean up. Oh wow. I'll just give you one shot of what I'm looking at here, making all the oohs and ahs. So this is all just, look at that line of gold at the bottom of those concentrates. Amazing, wow. Those are rich. I'm gonna pour them into a container and maybe try to get a little bit more sleep tonight. Well, this sort of long form, full length cleanup, if that was interesting to you, leave a comment below. Otherwise, I can always just do a little more cut kind of thing. I just wanted to put one full length cleanup into the video just because it's kind of interesting. And if I was learning how to gold mine, I'd want to sort of just watch somebody else fiddle with their box. Eventually I'll get this dialed and this will all be a lot shorter. But for now, it is what it is, and I am very happy with today. Got to do something about these mosquitoes. Because this is ridiculous. They're everywhere. A little campfire smoke really does the trick. The fact that all the mosquitoes are over right against the forest. If you get a little fire going there, it might help keep them down a little bit. And I can enjoy my evening. Plus, I'd like to make a smoky over the fire. It's been a whole day since I've had any hot food. How cool is that? Now it's starting to feel like camping. Finally, time to eat some dinner. All packed up the next morning. Here's my campsite, the way it should look. All the garbage is gone, picked up after myself. No trace for anyone to see where I was. Raining outside today. Set up the Miller table inside. Not too bad, not too bad at all. Just the last little bits to deal with here. Sure do love looking at that gold. Got some jet dry, a little bit of dish detergent. That's all the suds are coming from. Try to avoid floating gold. Might be running a little hot over here. We're starting to run off the table, but I will be taking all of the tails from this Miller table run and running them through the cleanup sluice again. That's one thing I need to actually get, is a cleanup sluice. So I had to do all of this on the Miller table. Love how well that works. Just about ready to start piling it up with the brush. I take this block, about 3/4 of an inch, and I'll set it right under the middle here. And that will take enough slope off the table. Water gets a little bit thicker so I can snuff her up. And then when I'm brushing everything from the bottom to the top again, I just started using a full-size brush for that, save some time. That way, none of that gold's gonna get peeled off the bottom from accidental brushing. So underneath, I have placed that board, which makes this a lot flatter. And here we can begin, without fear of losses, to start sweeping the gold into the middle. That certainly does look fantastic. One thing you'll notice with this brushing situation is once you get a perfectly clean section, you put the brush down, you'll notice it actually drops gold where you set the brush. So you kind of have to do this in multiple stages. Stage 1, bring most of the gold into the middle. You can see I'm leaving a little line every time the brush ends. Then sweep all those into the middle with little short brushes like that, and I've left some gold right there. So then I come out and I sort of clean that section. So this section is now clean, at which point I bring out the next section. Because what will happen, I'll just demonstrate. If you come in here and you're sweeping this, and then you go there, it sets gold out. So that's just something to keep in mind. You'll notice right now I've got quite a bit of a pile. It's not breaking the surface of the water. That's very important. Because the table is almost perfectly flat, the depth of water just got deeper. Otherwise, if you do break the surface, you got to be careful not to. That floating gold, even with the soap and the jet dry, can still happen. You have this many little flakes, you don't want that to happen. It's amazing how all the gold there, with this little gold down here, so this is basically what I've lost. I haven't lost, but just sweeping this section, seemingly nothing, all the way to the very bottom. And I'll do one final sweep at the end to get any last little remnants. But look at that. You've already got a little bit more gold. just from that. Well, this cleanup is looking just fantastic. In the future, I will get a proper cleanup sluice, make this go a little bit quicker so I can keep you all updated on exactly how much gold we're getting out of the river. Keep in mind, this wasn't just a 3-day trip. This was already having scouted out a good spot, which takes at least a day, way upriver. Then, for those 3 days I was there, I was actually working 22 hours. So it's not like I was just out having a nice day of it. I was working hard to get this gold. 9 liters of water I drank on the one day. So this side's fairly cleaned up. I will go over it one more time. This side just has that real faint dusting of gold again that looks like nothing until you bring it all together, and that'll be getting taken in. It'll stay focused there. All right, clean this up and snuff it in.